What's up, guys? It is Will here, back again, and today I'm here for a very exciting first-time video, the first episode in a long-running series, hopefully, where we're going to do a Hot Toys beginner's guide. 10 steps to success in collecting Hot Toys. So if you're new here, thank you so much. Please make sure to click the like button, subscribe to WillFoxification YouTube channel down below, click the notification bell for updates. Lots of good stuff coming from this channel. But today we're going to start with Hot Toys, a beginner's guide, 10 steps to success. Maybe even, I don't want to spoil it, maybe some bonus tips. I guess we're going to find out. Guys, let's get right into this presentation. Let's waste no time. Let's do it. Okay. So the first question you might be asking yourself, maybe you know what a hot toy is, maybe you don't, right? Let's start from the basic fundamental ground level. What is a hot toy? What are they? Why do we care about them? So let's start. Hot toys, really, they're lifelike articulated figures, meaning you can pose them, you can move them, you can put them in the right pose, the pose that really excites you, that allows you to engage with the figure itself. They're made in Hong Kong by the company Hot Toys. So when people say Hot Toys, they're talking about the company, they're also talking about the figures themselves made by that company. That's what they are. They are lifelike 1/6 scale representations of characters, typically from Marvel, DC, and Star Wars, although they do make other properties here and there as well. They'll make it, they'll make Alita, they'll make like Keanu Reeves and Cyberpunk, Johnny Silverhand, stuff like that every now and then, right? Generally how it goes is a Hot Toy is put up for pre-order. You can pre-order it. Usually you pay an NRD, typically 10%, depending upon where you buy from, but we'll get into that. There's more places to buy than just Sideshow Collectibles, which you may have seen or heard of, but we're going to get into that. They're typically 1/6 scale, so generally around 12 inches tall, but it depends. Some female figures are shorter, some male figures are taller. If you have Carnage or something, it's a little bit bigger, Thanos, so forth, right? But yeah, a figure gets put up for pre-order. You have usually have a while to decide whether you want it or not, but you can pre-order. You can typically wait for it to get in stock if you want to. It depends on the figure and the demand, but generally speaking, you get one about 1.5 to 2 years later. So if you're new to Hot Toys, it's a waiting game. If you pick one up, unless it's in stock, if you pre-order one, you're gonna wait 1.5 to 2 years, if not more than that. They can range anywhere from $150, very low. Those are typically for smaller figures like a Groot or something like that, or a Groot Venom or something like that. But a typical figure, usually about $250 or higher. They can go up to $1,300 based on the scale, because they make life-size 1-to-1 props like the Infinity Gauntlet. They made the Nano Gauntlet. They make things like that from time to time. The Hulk Nano Gauntlet, rather, that's like $575, $600. So it depends, right? Hot Toys, they usually, like I said, they usually stick to the big three: Star Wars, Marvel, and DC. Those are the big three. You will occasionally see them branch outside of that, but don't expect it too frequently. Okay, step number one. Let's first start by asking ourselves, why Hot Toys? Why do you want to buy Hot Toys? The reason that you're going to see most people say they buy Hot Toys is nostalgia. They want to feel nostalgic for the characters that they love and the movies and films and TV shows, the properties that they love, the IPs that they love. It also is a great way to connect with like-minded people. People like nerdy shit, right? Being nerdy is cooler than ever. It's in, right? It's stylish. So our community is really big on that. We're like, you know what? We love this shit and we're proud to say it. We're not shy about it. So that's one way you can get into Hot Toys. You can connect with like-minded people. You know what? I really like the Avengers films, and I want to talk to people about the Avengers films. Collecting can be a good way for that. They look real on your shelf. That's one of the biggest reasons. That's really most 1/6 scale collectors, which is what Hot Toys are, 1/6 scale. Most of them got into it because of Hot Toys, because of how lifelike and how realistic they look. So if you want something that looks super lifelike and accurate on your shelf, Hot Toys are typically a great option. Maybe the best option, depends on who you ask. But why Hot Toys specifically? Have you considered other manufacturers? Have you considered other scales, right? There are statues that are beyond 1/6 scale, quarter scale, half scale, third scale, 1-to-1 scale, life size, even 10th scale, 8th scale. There are a lot of different scales out there for statues. Maybe you don't like posing, right? Why Hot Toys specifically? It's a really good question. I think, like I said, if you're new to this, you're probably thinking, well, it looks really lifelike and I've heard of Hot Toys. They're a big name. They must be good. Yes, that is true. But you do have other options as far as collecting. So you want to consider why Hot Toys specifically. Do you like posing? Do you want to engage with like-minded people? Do you really want lifelike on your shelf? Or do you want something a little bit more posable and fun, right? Just depends. You need to ensure Hot Toys are right for you. Really important. Got to think about the price, which we're going to talk about. Got to think about space. Got to think about whether they're the right fit for you. Okay. If you're still here, then I'm going to assume that you're just really enjoying the content. If so, thank you so much. If not, then you got to determine which characters are important for you. You got to determine Hot Toys are right for me. Let's think about which characters are really most important to me, because everyone's going to be collecting Hot Toys differently. I believe, though, personally, if you want to collect smarter, if you want to collect more stress-free and longer, you should be prioritizing character above all else. Who are the characters? What are the characters that are most important to you? What characters do you love? Make a list and then go from there. So I'm going to put a video link in the description where I and a friend of mine, Carlos Viscardo, kind of went through, and Carlos created something called tier-based collecting. It's a system sort of where you categorize characters by how important they are to you. Tier 1, love. Tier 2, critical. Tier 3, favorite. Tier 4, like. And Tier 5, they're just okay, right? So that helps you determine which figures are most important to you. It helps you determine how much space you have and really what figures are going to make it into your collection, right? This is really important. So I'm going to put a link in the description to that video that gives you way more detail about that system and how to collect. I really like it. It's what I use. It's what Carlos uses. What other people use now. Not everyone, but I think it's a really good system. To start, this is even kind of bold. Like, this is like pretty conservative. Like, if you're saying, I'm going to limit my collection to 40, 50 figures. And by conservative, I mean you're going pretty much all in without like literally taking over your entire house. Because 40 to 50 figures is going to take up way more space than you realize in terms of box space and figure space, right? You can adjust to determine your spacing from there, but I would say start with the idea of, hey, I'm going to collect a total, I'm going to expand at any point. I'm going to collect a total of 40 to 50 figures. That's a lot more than most people realize, especially when you consider all the factors. Okay, third step. Let's determine our budget, right? Budget is a big part of Hot Toys collecting because these are expensive. Like I said, they're typically $250 or more. Most figures are going to run you $275 to $450 or $500. Really just depends on what figure you're getting. If you're getting a die-cast Iron Man, it could be around $400 or more typically, at least $350. Most standard figures, probably $275 or $315, something like that. So it really just depends. They can range from $230 to $600, but really expect more like $275 at a minimum nowadays. Personally, everyone's going to differ on this, but really 20% of your annual budget, I think that's more than enough. Honestly, there's plenty of ways to go about collecting. Everyone do your own thing. But in terms of being responsible, that's just what I believe. 20% of your annual budget, that's a lot to spend on a hobby, right? So I think that's more than enough. I think that gives you more than enough wiggle room. So it could even be 10%, right? I think 20% is super fair. So I would no more than 20, because at that point you're getting in dangerous territory. So one thing I also want to say too, when you're thinking about buying Hot Toys, like I said, they're expensive. If you say you buy 3 figures, right? You're getting pretty close to $1,000 at that point. So ship, taxes, all that good stuff, right? 3 figures, $1,000. That's just 3 figures, right? So if you're collecting 40 or 50, I'm not saying you have to collect them all in a year, but it's going to add up really quickly. One thing to keep in mind, yearly budget is most important. What are you spending on an annual basis? That's really what's most important, because you know what? At the end of the year, did I spend over my allotment, right? Month to month, yeah, I mean, you don't want to bankrupt yourself and put yourself in the negatives, but you can track that as well. I do that as well. You can use any app to do this, but every dollar is my favorite. Every dollar is free. It's a Dave Ramsey app. I really like the app. It's just super intuitive and great. So I highly recommend tracking your purchases monthly. You can also use an Excel doc, which will probably be in another video, but every dollar is a good way to track your monthly budget. You use an Excel doc like Google Sheets or something like that. That's what I use. And you can track your yearly budget that way. So payment plans, right? Payment plans can be a good thing and a bad thing, but you got to use them sparingly just because they can give you a false sense of security. So you do want to be careful with them. Not saying don't use them ever, but I will say be careful, right? Pay your NRD. So NRD is typically a 10% deposit, sometimes 20% depending upon where you buy from, right? So you're going to pay 20% of the total cost of that figure, maybe 10% if you buy from Sideshow, something like that. So if the figure is $300, you're going to put down a $30 deposit, right? So what I tend to recommend is to pay off the figure in full if you can right away, not to the retailer though. And this was Carlos's idea, so I want to give him credit for this. You put down your 10% NRD, then from there, you take the money, the rest of the remaining balance that you would owe for that figure, you put into a separate savings account, specifically for collecting. You don't put any other money in there besides collecting funds, right? Then at that point, you gain interest on that money while you wait for the figure to release in about 2 years. It's a really good idea. Do not collect pre-orders. Trust me, I've done it. You don't want to do it. It's a dangerous game. You have to keep track of what you're pre-ordering. Without it, you're lost. You're a ship without a compass, right? You're lost. You'll be pre-ordering any number of things, dropping NRDs like it's candy. And then when everything starts shipping, you'll be like, oh my God, I got all this stuff hitting me at once. You got to know what you're pre-ordering and when. You got to keep account of it. Do not collect a ton of pre-orders at once. I wouldn't recommend having more than like 5 pre-orders at one time personally, unless they're paid off, right? Be very careful about that. Okay, step number 4. Determine and plan out your space. This is one of the biggest things for Hot Toys collectors. Space is the bane of our existence, right? Because money is too. Like a lot of us are like, oh man, it's getting so expensive, but we'll find a way to make it work more often than not. And I think if you get into Hot Toys collecting, you're probably gonna feel that way. So you gotta determine and plan out your space, right? Before you buy any Hot Toys, you really should be determining your space and how you're going to display them. Because without having a set space that's really great and really making it feel like it's your collection that you're excited about, for one, you're not really going to care. You're not going to keep collecting them. And two, how great these pieces of artworks are, these Hot Toys, it's lost on you and those around you because they're just not displayed properly. If you have them on the box or you have them all sort of crammed together or not with good lighting or not behind glass or whatever, right? Not displayed in a way that makes you happy. It's not going to make you feel fulfilled at the end of the day. It's not going to keep you collecting, and I want to keep you collecting. Finally, dedicate a space that can be your own. A space that does not intrude upon the rest of your home, because your home at the end of the day should still be a home. I've made this mistake. I think others have made that mistake. Just my personal recommendation. Collecting usually stays within one realm of the house while the rest of your house still is allowed to be a home, right? Instead of making it a museum. I've made that mistake before. And it's very easy to do when you get overzealous about collecting, overly excited about what the options are, how many great things are. You want to expand, you want to do this and that. Just be careful. It can be dangerous. Step 5. Understand there are many places to purchase Hot Toys. Sideshow Collectibles, most people think Sideshow and Hot Toys are the same thing. They are not. Sideshow is the North American and Europe distributor for Hot Toys. They do not produce Hot Toys, they distribute Hot Toys. That said, there are many places besides Sideshow to purchase them. If you're not in the United States, you can still get Sideshow, right? But shipping and taxes and fees and stuff can get kind of expensive. So you got to be careful. You got some other options. Most people will purchase from Sideshow. But like I said, Sideshow is not Hot Toys. They are linked. They are very closely affiliated. They are a close-knit relationship with the manufacturer and distributor. But at the end of the day, Sideshow just sells Hot Toys. They do not manufacture them. Okay, if you're a US collector, Sideshow is definitely the safest bet. They have great customer service. Their prices are pretty good. Yes, you're going to pay shipping and tax, but at the end of the day, their customer service is fantastic. They are by far the safest bet. If you have an issue with a damaged part and you need a replacement part, much easier to go through them than it is another company. Yes, you can get replacements from other shops, but Sideshow is just simpler and easier and more and safer, right? So that's usually the place that most people will go. However, you can also buy them from many other places and feel confident about your purchase. Alter Ego Comics. Really love Alter Ego Comics and their owner, Mark. Great guy, great shop, all that good stuff. Comic Concepts, Joshua Gordon. Also a great place to buy Hot Toys from. He can get you replacement parts. Pop Culture Zone, Stevens Collectibles, Off the Racks, Big Bad Toy Store, even Pop Culture. If you're in Australia, I think they do free shipping over there. Even if you're not in Australia, you can get it from Pop Culture, and they pack things really nicely. There's also these things called these retailers, I guess you could call them, Hong Kong resellers, right? They essentially are unlicensed Hot Toys distributors to a degree. I guess some of them are. I guess they have agreements, right, to distribute, right? Some of them, but some of them do not. They buy them and then resell them. That's essentially what happens. So Toys Buying Agent, Pop Collectibles, Toys Wonderland, 1/6 Kit, KG Hobby. I don't know if Kit might have like a license to distribute, but not sure about the other ones. And KG Hobby might as well, but I know Toys Buying Agent, Pop Collectibles, and Toys Wonderland do not. So you can also buy from them. However, be careful. You can get replacement parts. You're rolling the dice a little bit with Hong Kong resellers, right? I really love Kit though. I will say Kit, fantastic. Great place to buy, especially if you're looking for third-party figures, but not the topic of this video. Sideshow is typically the safest and fastest way, but for US collectors, but for other collectors in other places around the world, we're not the only place of the world. We like to think we're the center of the universe, but we're not always. Hong Kong resellers can be faster. You get day one figures, they call them. So as soon as that figure releases in Hong Kong, doesn't always get to Sideshow that quickly in the States, right? So Sideshow's been getting faster, but a lot of times Hong Kong can get it even faster. So if you're all about instant gratification, then Hong Kong resellers can be popular for that reason, but you will pay a fee for that. Think about that. Okay, step number 6, pre-order only the essentials. pre-ordering only the essentials is super important because it's an uncertain game right now. Things are changing from month to month, week to week, right? As far as what you need to pre-order, what you don't. Is it going to sit in stock? Is it going to be discounted? Is it not? It's really a dangerous game, right? There's a lot that really goes into the pre-ordering game for Hot Toys right now, but stock is in a state of flux. I think we're in a period of change and we're just not really sure kind of how to proceed at the moment. However, if it's an essential figure to you, a tier 1 or tier 2 character, a tier 1 love, a tier 2 critical character, then you should probably pre-order it if you're about 90% or higher certain that you're going to get it. So, like I said, tier 1, tier 2, love and critical characters. Monitor the stock of tier 3 light characters, because tier 3 characters that you really, really want, when you watch the tier collecting video, you'll have a little bit more of an idea. But essentially, monitor those. Monitor if it's low stock, you might want to pre-order it, right? Join Facebook groups, such as A Place for Collecting. There are other good Facebook groups out there as well, where collectors will post low stock warnings for figures you may be interested in. Trust me, when you join these Facebook groups, you're going to be in the loop. They're going to let you know this is low stock, that this is blue, what they call blue screen, meaning low stock, right? It's going to sell out soon. So that's going to be something to monitor, right? Facebook groups like A Place for Collecting can help you do that. You could also do Hot Toys Reddit if you want. Again, you don't want to collect too many pre-orders, super important. That can snowball with those costs and cause you to really surpass your monthly and yearly budgets. Really important. You don't want to collect too many pre-orders. Like I said, 5, 7, something like that. Really keep it manageable, because when you have too many and they all come out at once or they all come out around similar times, then other things pop up and you pre-order those and you just have 30 pre-orders. Trust me, been there, done it. You don't want to do it. Bonus tip, like I said, again, just to reiterate this point, put down your NRD and then put the remaining balance in an interest-bearing savings account specifically for collecting. So when that figure comes out, you have that money set aside already and you're ready to go. If you end up canceling that figure, you know what? You canceled it, you lost the NRD. It's a non-refundable deposit. Sometimes you can get it back if you make your case, but not usually. Just depends. If the figure's delayed, you can sort of appeal to Sideshow and they will give you your money back if it's been delayed. However, prepare to lose it in other situations. So, but I will say, put that money back from your savings bearing account into your other account. You're good to go, right? Okay, bonus slide, double jeopardy. Okay, what is a waitlist? Okay, so if you've never collected Hot Toys before, a waitlist essentially means that the pre-order allotment for a figure has sold out, or it could be something that was in stock and is now sold out. So you can be added to something called a waitlist in case another collector cancels their pre-order or they cancel their order, so to speak. Sometimes what will happen is a collector will have an order on payment plan rather, and they're paying it off over time. Before they make their final payment, maybe they decide to cancel and get their money back for whatever reason. Something comes up. Then if you're next on the wait list, you'll get a notification. They'll email you and say, you have 48 hours to decide on this figure. If not, we're moving on to the next one on the list. Sideshow does it that way. Other places don't, most places don't have a wait list, to be honest, but Sideshow does. So it just depends kind of on what you want to do. I think Spec Fiction, they don't sell Hot Toys, but they have other stuff like that, right? A wait list does not obligate you to make a purchase. So if you put yourself on the wait list and it's your turn, it's not like, you know what, you're in, baby, we charge you. It's not like that, right? So feel free to add yourself to a wait list if you're interested in a figure. Then you can decide later if you actually want it. So you're not obligated to anything. You won't be charged unless you confirm that you want the item later. Okay, step number 7, buy the best that you can reasonably afford. The number one consumer rule that I live by just in collecting, with technology, with anything that I buy, right? Buy nice or buy twice. And because that rule is so important to me, because I've learned the hard way several times in collecting and otherwise. Because you know what will happen? If you sometimes go the cheaper route, what sometimes can happen is you will then have that item for a little while, be like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I like this. And then you'll see the better item and you'll go back and say, well, damn, I should have just gotten the better one, right? And this goes for technology, this goes for collecting, for cars, whatever, right? Buy the nicest that you can reasonably afford, because then you're going to sell what you have and then go back and buy the nicer one more often than not, right? And when that happens, you bought twice and you probably spent more money than you would have spent had you just purchased the one you wanted really the first time. Doesn't mean you should bankrupt yourself, put yourself in a tough position. However, buy nice or buy twice. Trust me, you will feel better. You will feel more secure with buying nice as reasonably possible. Doesn't mean you should buy a deluxe for every figure, but we'll talk about that. But it's something to factor in. So you can often be enticed by older and typically inferior figures. Say it's a different version of Loki. It's not as good as the new one, right? Or an older version of Rey, and it's just not as good as the new one, something like that. You can be like, yeah, but it's a good discount. Should I buy it? That depends. Do you really love that character? I think you should choose wisely. Used figures will be something that will always be discounted for you more often than not, unless it's a grail of some kind. Unpopular versions and damaged figures. Be careful with damaged figures. Unless you're really handy and you like doing repairs, then sure, go for it. Buy something cheaper and repair it and get it, make it your own, right? But be careful with that. That can be something that can be dangerous, where you just want to be careful with buying things that, you know, might cause you more of a headache later. Trust me, I've been that way. I've been down that road as well. Yeah. So you want to be careful to buy the best version that you can possibly afford. You know what? Maybe you want a Hawk, right? And you want the Avengers Hawk. But you know what? I'm going to settle for Ragnarok Hawk because I really want a Hawk and I got that one cheaper. But you know what? You don't want Ragnarok Hawk. You want Avengers Hawk, right? So sometimes that happens. So you got to be careful with that. If you enjoy the character, if it's a really important character to you, don't settle for anything less than the best you can reasonably afford, right? If you can reasonably afford to buy, you know, the Chrome Mando that just came out instead of the previous Mando that's $100 cheaper, then get the Chrome Mando. Get the one that you best like, that is the best quality that you can reasonably afford. That's super important. You're going to be happier long-term when you reward yourself with things that you love, not things you just like and you're willing to settle for. Like, we don't do that with relationships, right? Like, oh, I'm going to settle with this person because they're good enough, right? We don't do that. Not really. We shouldn't. So we shouldn't do it with figures either. Sometimes you do got to sacrifice the characters that are less important to you, however, to afford the ones that are more important to you. So if Mando to me is a tier 1 character and I just love Mando, then I'm not going to go and buy 4 battle droids when I could go and just buy the Mando and buy other characters like possibly a Mace Windu or Anakin Skywalker, other characters that are more important to me, instead of having like a set of 4 battle droids or the line from Rogue One, right? I want the characters that are most important to me at the end of the day. And if I can't, and if I'm spending money on characters that aren't important to me just to fill out a line or make me have some vision of having 3 droids or whatever, then I'm sacrificing other characters I like to build something I don't really give a shit about. You want to be careful with that. Consider the deluxe for most figures. Not always. The deluxe and standard tend to be not a significant price difference depending upon the figure, but the deluxe offers more accessories, sometimes more features. If you go to resell something, deluxe is always more coveted, sometimes even stupidly so. Like Venom, for example, the exclusive Venom, where it had like a tiny extra head, right? Tiny, slimy extra head. That was really all it was that no one was going to use. It was on the back or something, and went for way more than the other versions, right? So if you ever needed to sell, God forbid, say you wanted to move on to a different figure to use your collection, to fund your collection, whatever, then you have something way more valuable. So the deluxe is pretty much always sought after. They hold their value better too, because deluxe is a buzzword. It's like organic food in the grocery store, right? When you see it, you're just like, damn, I want the deluxe though. And they're like, do you know what it comes with? And it's like, nah, but I want the deluxe though. That's pretty much how it goes. Okay. Step 8, wait for discounts unless it's a tier 1 or tier 2 character that you need, right? Most Hot Toys figures in our current market in 2023 January, this could change later, but in our current market, they'll be up for pre-order for months, sometimes years, most of the time years, right? It's likely that the Hot Toys figure that you want will be discounted at some point. This is just Sideshow from their discount events, right? Geeksgiving around Thanksgiving, Spooktacular at Halloween, Black Friday right after Thanksgiving, New Year's Day, Christmas time, daily deals. They do them every single day. The list goes on and on. And that's just Sideshow. That doesn't factor in any of the other companies that I listed off that list before. So Sideshow just does these, and there's a ton that I'm not even remembering. Sideshow does like second week of September sale. Like they do that type of stuff all the time. You can see Iron Man on your screen. Alter Ego Comics right now, $100 off on this grail of a figure, right? But you know what? If you love the character or it's critical to your collection, pre-order the figure if you know you're gonna buy it. If you're 90% certain, you know what? I'm getting Shang-Chi. I'm getting Wenwu. Pre-order it. If you're confident and you're positive, pre-order it. But don't overextend yourself because, to me, they're tier 2 characters, right? But if they were tier 3 or tier 4 for me, that would be a different conversation. If they were like, I like Shang-Chi and Wenwu, but I don't feel crazy about them, then I'm not pre-ordering, right? Exactly. When buying used figures, proceed with caution. A discount is nice, but at the cost of adding stress to your life should something go wrong, right? Factor in the weight. Same with Hong Kong resellers. Factor in the decision, the risk versus a reward ratio. Is it too risky to buy what I want? Do I want this discount? Do I need something a little bit simpler? Used figures are great. I've had a lot of great experiences. I've had some bad experiences. Buying new, even better, because then if something goes wrong, you have a little bit more flexibility. So, okay. Step number 9, shop with companies that reward you for doing so. One of the biggest green flags as a consumer is a rewards program. A rewards program is music to your ears, right? Because you can look at this. And I'm willing to be transparent. This is my current Sideshow rewards balance. This is strictly money that I have received from Sideshow in rewards, store credit essentially, for buying their products that they list on their website. I have $223. You also get these from events and participating in Sideshow stuff, like that type of stuff. So Sideshow offers 5% back in rewards on all purchases, excluding gift cards. A lot of other companies will do something similar. They might offer 3% or 2% or 10% even, depending upon the week, right? Double rewards sometimes. Shop with those companies that are going to reward you for shopping with them. You're getting money back, like Amazon Prime card, right? You get 5% back on that. Best Buy card, you get 5% back on every purchase. Target, you get 5% back at the checkout for the Target Red card, right? You shouldn't really be doing any different with collecting. Like, these companies are going to reward you for shopping with them, and there's security in shopping with Sideshow and other places. So if they're going to reward you, you should be taking advantage of that. You should be buying, like, I'm taking money back, that I'm spending, right? So now a $250 figure is $237.50. So, you're getting like 5% off just because of rewards, right? 5% back in rewards. So it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. And if you're using say I use the Bank of America credit card where I get 3% back on online purchases, that's another 3% I'm adding to my total, right? So you're cutting that out of the sale too. So Alter Ego Comics, 1/6 Kit, Spec Fiction, Comic Concepts. Many retailers have reward points, but you should research which one is best for you. Research who's going to reward you and who's going to, satisfy you as a collector and a shopper. Okay. Step number 10. Learn that patience will serve you better than instant gratification. You will be tempted by day one figures from Hong Kong resellers. Here's my advice. Resist. And I say resist because instant gratification can be dangerous. It can add up when you do it more than once, right? And there's a price to pay. Like I think Kratos said that in the new God of War Ragnarok. Shortcuts to knowledge always have a price, right? Something along those lines. Shortcuts to figures, they always have a price. You will pay one way or another, right? You will get something quicker, you will pay more, and you incur more risk by buying from Hong Kong, especially if you're in the United States. Something should go wrong. It's a little bit trickier to get replacements, right? There are some that I like more than others. Like I really like 1/6 Kit. I really like Toys Buying Agent. KG Hobby, I've heard is very good. There are some great places to buy overseas. But you got to be careful with that. So you got to be really careful with that. So in most cases, you're going to pay $50 more or more than that, sometimes substantially more than that for day one figures if you would have bought it elsewhere. Let's do some quick math. 5 day one figures at a $50 upcharge, and that's pretty much a minimum $50 more often than not. $250, aka another Hot Toy. So if you bought 5 day one figures, you're like, damn, I could have bought Shang-Chi with that, or I could have bought a Wenwu with that. I could have bought a Super Battle Droid or a Padme for that, right? It adds up and it costs you something, right? So by seeking immediate gratification, you're damaging your budget and your ability to collect more things that you love, more characters that you love. Patience is always going to be a virtue in all aspects of life, right? And it will reward you in the end in collecting just like it does in life. So I promise you, no matter how good that figure looks, no matter how good that Cro-Mando looks, there will be others to grab your attention. That said, bonus slide, baby. All right, bonus slide. Engage with the community. This is a bonus tip. I really firmly believe you're going to be happier collecting Hot Toys should you engage with the community. Should you really start meeting people, talking about figures, getting excited about pre-orders, getting excited about releases, and really engaging with what makes this fun in the first place. Talking to like-minded people, sharing a collective passion, and engaging and making friends. A lot of my best friends I have never met in real life, or not yet, that I've met from this community. They have been there for me through thick and thin, and they've been supportive of me through everything that I've done, YouTube and otherwise. This community can do that for you too. So it's really important that you engage in this community and share your passion with others and make friends. It's really, really great. I promise, I mean that wholeheartedly. Make sure to comment on YouTube videos. Make sure to comment on Facebook groups. Share your thoughts respectfully. But yeah, there's a lot of great ways to engage that can really make your life better, honestly. It sounds crazy, but collecting Hot Toys and collecting other things can really improve your quality of life. I mean that wholeheartedly. So there are many Facebook groups. A Place for Collecting is my go-to. Feel free to choose your favorite. I'll leave a link to that one in the description below. All right, one more bonus tip. You guys are in for a lucky one tonight. Again, Just a refresher, characters should be your primary focus, not completing lines. Everyone's going to collect differently. That's just my personal philosophy, right? Instead of having every Rogue One figure, even though if I love Rogue One, do I really love certain figures? I really love Krennic as much as I love, getting that Mando right. If I had to pick or I had to choose, not having a complete line is less important to me than having the characters that I truly love. So it looks nice. It looks uniform, right? You could have all the characters from a certain line, but as much as I love Infinity War, it's my favorite movie ever. Do I really want that Captain America when I'm not crazy about the sculpt? Maybe it's not my favorite Captain America look. Do I really need every single from the figure from the Infinity War line? Do I really need the Mark 50 when the Mark 50 is, a favorite suit of mine, but not a top 3 suit for me, right? Do I need that? Do I need that just to fulfill a void? Nope, I need the characters that I love more. So if you complete, fill your collection with completing lines and characters you don't truly care about, you just want consistency, then you're dedicating space and money to things that could be used more productively on things you do love, right? So remember, just to wrap this up, it may be a good deal, but is it a good deal for you? That's the question to ask yourself anytime there's a discount, there's a deal on a used figure, there's a line that you want to complete. Remember, is it a good deal for you? Sit back and ask yourself that question. Think for that even 24 hours or more, 48 hours, 72 hours, something like that, right? Think about, is this a good look for you? Guys, thank you so much. That's my presentation. I really appreciate it. So like I said, I really appreciate if you guys drop a like, click the subscribe button. I got plenty more content on this channel about hot toys and other forms of collecting, statues, in art, everything else in between, 3-0 even sometimes. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I know this was a longer video. However, I appreciate you sticking around and watching the whole thing. And if you've never been here before, I'm going to do my outro and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye. See you later. Bye, 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 bye.